Peace and love to everyone. I know this is a controversial um, topic about children in America and children in Africa. So I'm from America, and right now I am in Tanzania, Africa. So I do get the question sometimes about, are African children different from American children? So again, welcome to my page. This is Ifashewa, and well, I am Ifashewa, and I pray that you are in well-being, that you are having peace, and all of those things. And thank you so much for so many of you also coming to my Facebook page and my Instagram page. So I'll be looking at my notes, and then sometimes you may hear sound outside, which are the children, right? So that is, let's just start off from there. That the children here are playing outside a lot. And they don't have the drawbacks here where I live at in Tanzania, like places that I've lived in America, like New York or in California, even New Jersey, some parts of New Jersey. So they don't have, like, there's nobody outside trying to sell them drugs. There's nobody outside trying to, influence them to do negativity or things like that. They're just really playing, which is just amazing to see. And they may not have as many sports as we have in America or things like that, but they're outside playing with the balls. They have jump ropes and things like that. So just to see them play outside just naturally is amazing, so that's definitely one of the differences that I've noticed, is that in America they don't really get to play outside because there's so many things going on outside, like shootings and drugs, and all of those different things are happening. So, and I'm not saying all around America, I'm just saying, like, especially in the cities and things like that. So a lot of the children here where I live at, but of course I'm living closer to a village, that they just don't have all of those types of influences that are in America. Another thing that I realized is, these are like my top two, is that the children here in Africa have a different mannerism and responsibilities than American children. And even the age in which they're starting is different. They start in Africa much younger with responsibilities and things like that than I've noticed with the American children. And again, this is just my only experience that that I've seen. Another thing is that I do want to point out is that both sides are colonized. Both sides are colonized. There are both sides have been invaded. Both sides have violations. Both sides have had things like that. And there are beautiful things that both sides have, as well as mountains and beaches and rivers and all of these things. They do both have that. However, the children's, I've noticed their approach to these things are different. So I want to talk about, like, the children in America are growing up with, like, sports, entertainment, like the entertainment business, things like that, right? And in Africa, it's more about academics. They don't have as much about sports or things like that in Africa, where I'm staying, as much as in America, right? Because America has the swimming team, basketball team, football team. They have all these different teams. And in Africa, it's where I'm at, it's mostly like soccer or things like that. So I do see the difference. It doesn't mean that they don't have those sports in Africa as a continent as a total, right? Because this place is massive. But to see the focus of the children here more towards academics, is just much more different because of the sports and the entertainment business, especially in the media in America. So you see a lot of the children here focusing on becoming doctors, lawyers, engineers, things like that. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen in America. I've just noticed that their focus is a bit different. Also, in both sides have trends. They both get involved in trends. But I do notice that the American children get more involved with trends because they have the ability to be able to do so. The sneakers, the clothes, brand names, all of that different stuff. And here in Africa, the children really aren't focused on that. And then the media in America has more things that they're showing, like the catwalks from fashion and all of that different stuff. And in Africa, where I'm at, they're really not showing much of that. So the children aren't really into that as much. They are more focused like on a different wealth, which is either farming, getting land, houses, things like that. Like their wealth is pretty much on their mind at a very young age, right? So, and like if you look at one of my previous videos, I have mentioned that the people, as soon as they get married, they already usually have a farm, they already have a house that's being built, all of those different things. And it's not necessarily for them because they've already had theirs built, it's for the child that's coming, right? So they're ahead about a generation a lot of times. So a lot of the children here, they do, of course, right? Who doesn't like Amapiano? Everybody likes Amapiano, right? So everybody's involved in that, so they're dancing around and things like that. But I don't see it as much because their time frame in which they're even outside playing is a certain amount of time, right? It's not a prolonged time that the children are really outside playing. And I think that also comes with the responsibilities that they have. And also like the video games and like I said, like the media and stuff like that. The children here have more living skills and responsibilities than I've noticed in the children in America. The children in America, they don't have to worry about water all the time. Sometimes here you do have to think about water. You don't have to worry about it, but you do think about it sometimes because sometimes the water is cut off here from the city or things like that, or that they're working on the pipes and you have to have water already in the house, or you have to have water in the tanks that are on top. Like you see it a lot in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, and stuff like that. You see the big black tanks of water that are on top of the buildings. So here their living skills are more like into construction, water sources, food, things like that. And because there's more like grocery stores and things like that in America, the children aren't really thinking about planting, agriculture, things like that. So the environment is not in the forefront of their minds because they are supplied quite a bit of things. And then in Africa, because they're not supplied these things, which I'm really grateful for. At first, I was just like, I don't know about that. But then I realized how beneficial it is for the children to constantly be working, as far or just in the farms, or seeing mommy and daddy in the farms, or learning about agriculture, learning about how to get water sources from the mountains into the villages. All of those types of things is just amazing actually to see. And that they also get to learn about herbal remedies and plants and all of that stuff. Like instead of just going to the store, going to go get a medication or a drug or something like that, just because you don't feel well. Like they literally, I've seen it for myself. They go outside, they go and pluck some of the plants in their yard, and then they take it in a tea, and then they're okay. Also, the amount of sun that the children are getting, I've noticed that more of the children in America are more inside than the children that are in Africa. They're more so outside. So the amount of sun that the children are getting here is more. I really do wish the children in America didn't have as many predators or people that are just after them, so they could spend more time in the sun, be able to go outside and play, and the parents don't have to worry. And it reminds me really of back in the day, right? It was like that. You just get to go outside, play stickball, all of that out in the street, and there was nothing. But then all of a sudden, as time went on, some things got a little bit more difficult. So I really do hope those times do return to America, of having more community oriented places to where the children can go to the playgrounds and not have to worry, or things like that, right? Because here they're just outside playing, no children snatched, there's no shootings, nothing like that. So that is definitely making the temperament of the children a bit different, right? The last thing that I want to say is, well, actually, two things. One of the things is language. I noticed that the children that I was around in America usually only speak one, possibly two languages. The children here in Africa, they're speaking 3 and 4 languages. It's just amazing how many languages they keep in their head. But it's because of the diversity of different villages coming together, or different people from other African countries have moved, to Tanzania. So, like you'll meet a child and the child will speak Swahili, French, English, Yoruba, different languages. And it's because of their little friends and stuff like that. So that's amazing. That they do speak multiple languages out here, more than I've seen in America. But now, these new children that are coming forth in America, woo, they speak, it seems like, more languages than the people in the past, right? They're more interested in speaking someone else's language. And what I also love about the American children is that they are willing to venture out more than I think the previous ages before them. They just look up things on Google and YouTube. They just bounce on that plane and they're out. They're in their early 20s or mid 20s. They get together and they just leave the country. And that is amazing, because now there's so much footage and things like that. And here in Africa, the children where I am really don't get to travel. So that is a major plus for the younger generation in America. This last thing I'm going to say is, and I've seen it, and I've done it when I was little, is the complaining. The children in America they're able to have a more range to be able to complain about something. And I remember back in the day, things were a little bit more strict and you were more focused on your chores, school, things like that. But they are able to talk back to their parents because of the system that is also in America that is, in a way, preventing parents to be parents. Y'all, these children here don't even think about talking back to their parents because just not their parents, but y'all remember this, there's parents across the street, the parents down the road, everybody will beat your tail, because here, this is so amazing that I've learned. I saw a child that was acting up, and the parents looked at the child, and the next door neighbor was the one that gave the child a pop or two, like just pop the child. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And the parents were like, yeah, yeah. And then some other parents came and were like, da, 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 da. So now the children were embarrassed, because now they're making their family lineage look bad. So they straightened up right away. So it's not just the parents here that are taking care of the children. It is literally a community that are raising these children. Even the children outside playing right now, there are quite a few adults sitting outside, they're chatting, and they're just looking at the kids. Whichever one bumps themselves fall, one of the mamas are outside, come here, let me give you a kiss on the forehead, go back and play. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, the children here are pretty obedient. Like, I have actually not even pretty obedient. They are very obedient, because they know that piece of weed or whatever. Remember, they would take off the bush and beat your tail. You can best believe they still have that here, y'all. They still have that, but their mannerism is much more calmer than the American children, and this is where my heart goes out to the American children. They have so many negative things coming after them. And again, like earlier I said, both sides have colonization. Both sides, things are happening. I'm not saying there's nothing happening here or things like that. Things happen in Africa. But when I think about even some of the things that I went through growing up and looking at the next generation, I felt so bad for them because they had more of a social media, they had more of a social media issue. You know what I'm saying? Like predators on the internet and all of those types of things. So just so different. Just so different. The kids see a puppy and they're just bugging out. Okay, so yeah, like the children in America, they really have to face a lot. And I think that also is what gives the strength of the children in America, because they do have to face, so much. And I pray that they do not have their childhood taken away from them, because just to hear the children here playing around and having all this open space, of course, it makes me think about the American children. And, I'm from America. I love them. I love them. I love children. So, so that's my take on the differences between the American children and the African children. And again, their responsibilities are different, because of their lifestyles. So, but it doesn't mean that they won't get along when they see each other. Usually when the African children, American children here, they see each other, the African children just take them and just go running. You got to go find, where the child is, because they've taken them somewhere to go play with other children. Right. So, so yeah, so that's what's up. That's what I have today about African children and American children. I hope this does help some of the people that have been asking questions about the differences between the children. I love y'all. Peace and love. Mwah. What?